A common question I get when people are thinking about moving to Winston-Salem or moving within the area is which suburb should I move to? And I've made a video about the individual suburbs that I'm going to link that below in a playlist so you can check all the full-length videos out if you'd like to. But in this one, I want to do kind of a comparison of the suburbs around Winston-Salem so you can kind of do a side-by-side. So if you're evaluating them, this will give you some good information about those suburbs, and then maybe you can dig down deeper into the other ones if you'd like to. I hope it helps. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate. My contact information is below if you need my help. So we're just going to start in the southwest of Winston-Salem. And then we're going to work counterclockwise. We're going to start in Clemmers. We'll work counterclockwise back around to Kernersville. And like I said, the full-length videos on the suburbs are linked in the description, but this is just going to be kind of a comparison. So in Clemmers, obviously a really popular suburb. It's actually ranked the #1 place to live in the entire triad, so it's popular. It's about 22,000 people that live here, and it's long geographically. So it can, it goes all the way up to just right up against Winston-Salem, all the way down in the south into Davidson County. Why that's important to know is it can take a little bit of time. The road to get from north to south is Louisville Clemmers Road. It can take a little bit of time, 10 or 15 minutes to get from one side of town to the other, depending where you're at. There is some variation within the town itself. So Clemmers, obviously, since it's growing really fast, it's ranked so high, it has highly ranked schools. There's a lot of shopping, a lot of restaurants, a lot of different things to do in Clemmers. So it also tends to have higher demand, which means a little bit higher real estate prices as well, so you should know that. The other thing to know about Clemmers as a suburb, and I'm coming again, remember, from the suburbs of Chicago, this feels more like a traditional suburb, what I'm used to back in the Midwest. It's developed, it has a lot of strip malls, it just feels like a more mature, I guess, more things to do. It's more of a complete suburb versus like some of the small town feel that other North Carolina cities and towns can have. Going back to the geographical part, if you're in, the Forsyth County part of Clemmers and versus the Davidson County part, there's going to be a little bit of difference. And I don't want to get too much in the weeds about this, but Davidson County is not going to have the same amenities as Forsyth County, with trash and police and things like that. You have all that covered, you just go about it a little bit different way. So with that trade-off, you get a couple benefits too. The taxes tend to be a little bit lower, but also you should know that the area south of 40, that's going to probably grow a lot over the next, 5 to 10 years. As they develop out the Carolina core, the area south of 40 is where there's going to be a lot of growth planned, both for residential and commercial construction. So expect that area to be pretty busy. The housing in Clemmers is really varied. There's a lot more new construction that is purchased in Clemmers than other parts of the entire tribe, but especially Winston-Salem. Clemmers makes up a bigger portion of new construction. Kernersville does as well, which we'll talk about in just a minute, but Clemmers makes a good portion of their sales are new construction. So look for some of those new construction neighborhoods, where, you're not going to have as many mature trees and things like that. And some of those, trade-offs that go with that, right? You'll have more updated modern floor plans, but, there's construction going on and things like that. Now, there are more mature neighborhoods in Clemmers too. Clemmers West is a really popular one with large lots, a lot of homes built in like the 70s and 80s. So the housing stock is really varied, but there is a lot more new construction, and expect more new construction to be taking place over the next few years in Clemmers as well. Now, if we go just north of Clemmers, we get to Louisville. Louisville butts up to Winston-Salem just on the west. Louisville is more what I would think of like a small town feel. So where if Clemmers is about 21 or 22,000 people, Louisville is about 13 to 15,000. The town is also more strict. I think, what I've seen mentioned on forums and some different groups and talking to other people in the area is Louisville saw how Clemmers grew like really fast. There was a lot of commercial development up and down Louisville Clemmers Road that caused what they saw as some traffic and things like that. So Louisville decides to kind of slow their growth down a little bit. They don't want to have every single, business that wants to come here. So they have some rules around that regarding like, no drive-throughs or fast food places or, or not fast food, but no chains, things like that. They want to have neighborhoods that are newly developed. They want them to be walkable with sidewalks and things like that. So Louisville is taking a much more slow approach to its growth versus kind of what they saw with Clemmers did a few years before that. The schools in Louisville are also highly ranked and highly desirable. This is also one of the top areas to live in the entire triad. Louisville, I think, has a little bit higher average income than some of the other suburbs. The housing average price is a little bit more expensive than some of those as well, but you still have a good variety of housing. You'll see a lot of houses here that will be in the 300s. all the way up to the, the multi-million-dollar price range as well in Louisville. And people are coming here because it's right next to Winston-Salem. From Louisville, you could be downtown, right in the center of downtown in 15, maybe 20 minutes. Trader Joe's or Costco are like 10 to 15 minutes away. Whole Foods is like 15 minutes away. So still really easy to get to the center of the city, or all the different things that you might like to do in the city, but you still have that suburban, a little bit smaller town feel. So a trade-off is Louisville is not going to have a lot of the shopping and amenities that something like Clemmers would. Like, you'll be going to Winston-Salem or Clemmers a lot for shopping, restaurants, and things like that. Of course, there's a grocery store in Louisville. There's a few restaurants and things like that. But the majority of the time, if you're going to be going out, you're going to be going to one of those other towns that are right next to Louisville for a lot of that stuff. At least that's how we do it. I live in Louisville. Now, where Clemmers doesn't really have a downtown to speak of, Louisville has a nice little downtown area, a center square in the center of town that's really nice. It has a great amphitheater. And if you check out the Louisville video that we made, you will see that there. So it's not a full downtown, but it's got some nice shops and things like that as well. Just outside of the town square, the public library in Louisville is really nice. And like I said, the schools from elementary all the way through high school are highly ranked, highly desirable. So just a good overall, people tend to like the quality of life and just kind of the small town feel in Louisville. And of course, the schools are a big draw too. Continuing just north of that, we run into Pofftown. And Pofftown is a small town. I mean, it's a few thousand people. The reason why I wanted to mention it, it's not a full-on suburb, but the reason I wanted to mention it is it's growing, and we see a lot of people that consider it primarily they want to be in this school district. Reagan High School is one of the top-ranked schools in the entire state, let alone high schools or in the area. It's a top-ranked school, so a lot of people like to be in Reagan's school zone, so Pofftown is one of those areas. In the town of Pofftown itself, there's not, a whole ton of stuff that goes on in Pofftown. You're going to have to go to other places to do a lot of these things. If you're wanting to go out to eat or do some shopping and stuff like that, you're not going to do much of that in Pofftown. There's some cute little shops and things like that, of course, but most of the stuff you're going to be heading out of town. Pofftown also is a little bit further away from the center of downtown Winston-Salem than the others. So you're looking in that 20 to 25 minute commute to get to downtown. And like I said, people really like the area. It's quiet. It's a little bit more laid back. It's a small town, a few thousand people. So just so you can just kind of get your expectations right on that. Pofftown is also home to some quality new construction homes. The new homes that are going in there have some quality builders in there. There are a lot of those in that, $350 to $550 price range is kind of where you'll see the new construction in Pofftown. Like I said, nice homes. A lot of people want to be there for those schools. The existing homes that are in there tend to be on the older side. So a lot of 70s and 80s homes that are in Pofftown that you'll see that are existing. It's going to be, a lot of those homes are going to be on larger lots too, which is kind of nice as well. The other thing to know about all three of these, Pofftown, Louisville, and Clemmers, is that the Beltway in Winston-Salem is going to be built around there over the next few years. I believe it's supposed to be completed in 2026 or 2028, somewhere in there, but it's going to be an entire loop around all of Winston-Salem, and that western section of it is going to be the last one that's going to be completed. On the Kernersville side, they have a section of that done. They have a part in the northeast that was just completed. So if you're considering houses on there, make sure, hopefully you're working with me, but if you're thinking of houses over there, you're going to want to check and make sure that where the Beltway is going to come. It's pretty obvious where it's going to go, but it can be within a quarter mile. You might not want that. Some places in Louisville, it's going to come like right behind some of these neighborhoods that are in Louisville. So it's something where you're going to definitely want to check and see where the construction is going for the Beltway for any of these three suburbs that we just talked about. Now, continuing around, going east, we're going to talk about Kernersville. Kernersville is the largest of all these suburbs. People like Kernersville because it's in the middle of Winston-Salem and Greensboro, so it can make that commute to both towns really simple. If you find yourself going to go to Greensboro a lot, it will be, Kernersville is an easy way to just get there instead of having to go through town in Winston-Salem. Now, when the Beltway is built, that's going to alleviate some of that stuff if you're on the west side of Winston-Salem and you just take the Beltway around. But right now, Kernersville is situated nicely right in between those two. If you're going to be working at anything by the airport, or maybe something with Boom Supersonic or some of the companies that are going to be around there, Kernersville is a simple commute. Kernersville also has a lot of new construction going on with some really large planned communities. similar to what you see with other cities, suburbs across the country, you know, bigger planned communities with a lot of amenities. Caleb's Creek comes to mind, but there's a lot of other new construction going on in Kernersville. So if you like new construction, that's definitely a place to consider. The schools, you know, at least ranking wise, can be a little bit varied there. So check, you know, the neighborhoods and what school districts that they're in, so you can do your due diligence on that. But just know that Kernersville is something that's really grown. It's an older suburb, so you have some things that are, I don't know a better way to say it, it's just a little bit older. Like you have some strip malls with a lot of vacancies in there, and it's just some older, you know, stores where, you know, like Clemmers is going to be a lot newer feeling for most of its shopping and things like that. Kernersville has some older sections. On the other side of that, Kernersville has its own Target. I know a lot of people that live there think, you know, that's kind of a big plus for them is, you know, they're not going into Winston. So it's kind of a more mature city unto itself, I guess, is maybe a better way to say it. It has the highest population of a little over 26,000. So again, it just feels a little bit more like a complete town. There are pluses and minuses to that, of course. But the other thing to know is if you're in Kernersville and you have to go to downtown, like if you're going west, that's one of the spots in the Triad that can have a little bit of traffic when you're heading westbound on 40. That can get, you know, on those rush hours, and then coming back that way on the going home rush hour, it does get a little bit busy. So I suggest, you know, go on Google Maps if you're thinking about that. You can enter the time of day and see typical traffic patterns. Again, it's not, you know, nothing like we're, you know, crawling all the time and stuff like that, but for the area, there is a little bit more traffic that tends to go that way during those rush hours. What else do you want to know about moving to Winston-Salem or the suburbs or Greensboro, anywhere in the Triad? What do you want to know? Let me know below, and I'd love to make some videos about that. If you need help buying or selling real estate, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.